You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast, where we are less than a week away from the Ashes. England are now down under. They played their Lions game, and it's time for us to turn our attention to the England Ashes team preview. I'm Jack Hope. I'm joined by Max Rowe-Brown, and back from Japan, Ross Legg. Ross, how was your big cricket scouting tour of Japan? Did you unearth any cricketing wonder kids?
Actually, there's quite a few, and there's a lot of talent out there in Japan. I actually went to a baseball game where I watched two universities slug it out in kind of the finals of their university thing. So, they're good at baseball. Is that translatable to cricket? We've not seen the evidence of that, but one can dream.
Nice. Max, didn't say hello to you. Just said that you were on the podcast. Do you have any news? Has anything good happened to you?
I am in the middle of making a load of chutney. That's news, I suppose. And I opened the cupboard to get some brandy out to make mincemeat for mince pies earlier, and discovered that 3 cans of beer had exploded, and there was a load of weird sticky mold in the bottom of the cupboard. So, it's been an interesting day for me. Very exciting. Classic Sunday. Lots of chores.
Disgusting. Actually, I was excited about the chutney. I thought we were going to have a fun pectin based discussion, and instead you quickly segued onto mold. Disappointing, I think. Ross, for your benefit, the Ashes is now a 9-match contest. England are 2-0 up because Australia didn't win the Women's World Cup. And England claimed a 1-0 lead in the Moral Ashes just because morally England is better than Australia. So we're in a good position as we go into the England Test preview. I think we've got a lot to talk about. What we will do, I think, is probably something similar to our discussion on the Australia team, where we did most feared. We had a good game, again, Ross, for your benefit mainly, of wombat, dingo, shark to determine the fear factor of the Australian team. And I think we'll do something similar for the England squad. Maybe I was thinking lions based. So you can have, everyone knows that the most number of lions you can have is 3. There's even a song about that. Yeah. And so maybe we assign, the least scary number of lions, 1 lion, to some of the England
or
players.
Simba.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not a big Lion King fan.
Okay.
To be honest, I don't know if that surprises people, but it's not my favourite. 2 lions, obviously, being the second most scary number of lions, and 3 lions being the absolute scariest number of lions that one could encounter, either in the wild or on a shirt. Does that sound reasonable? We'll do that a bit later in the show, maybe.
Well, I think it's nice and easy to understand. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. It's maybe not as good, maybe not as original as dingo, wombat, shark, but it maybe does roll off the tongue a little bit better, which is a good thing. Before we get going, Roth has disappeared, which I assume is some internet-based thing as he'd frozen. Before we get going, though, some messages for our listeners and our viewers. Do make sure you're clicking like and subscribe on whichever platform you are on. Take 10 seconds right now, get your phone out your pocket, and do that. It gives us a massive lift. It tells all the algorithms that we're good people, and it makes us feel good, which is really the objective of the podcast these days. A little pick me up. Also, if you want to support us with actual money, which also makes us feel good, but times are tight, so we understand. Like and subscribe is fine. You can head over to Patreon, patreon.com/thecricketpod. Join the Discord for non-stop cricket chat. We've got people in Australia. We've got lots of people in India, quite a few people in the States, quite a few people in the UK. It's a vibrant melting pot of cricket chat with a few sort of added extras. There's an ongoing NFL fantasy league, for example, which is heading towards its denouement. I'm in the playoff race. Max, what's your record so far?
It's denouement came quite early for me. I would say I've won one game.
Out of
9.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Not very good. Look, they're the messages. Let's get to the England squad. Shall I read it out? Start with the
Yes.
batters. We've got Harry Brooks, Zach Crawley, Ben Duckett, Ollie Pope, Joe Root, and Jamie Smith. I guess he's a wicketkeeper, isn't he? But the way ESPN have grouped them, he's batter. All-rounders, Ben Stokes, Jacob Bethel, Bryden Carson, Will Jacks. Again, questionable categorisation of all-rounder there, but that's how ESPN have done it, and they know everything.
That's how England define it, let's be honest.
Yeah. And then bowlers, Jofra Archer, Gus Atkinson, Matt Potts, Sherpa Bashir, Josh Tongue, and Mark Wood. Strengths and weaknesses. We'll go to Ross for some strengths and weaknesses of the England touring party. How are they going to convert this 2-0 win into a 9 or 2-0 lead into a 9-0 win? In fact, maybe we won't go to Ross, we'll go to Max. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think for me, it's all about the longevity of the England bowling attack, isn't it? I think we talked about it when the squad first came out, and I think the events of recent days have only served to highlight that issue further. If you put England's best bowlers out, the three Lions bowlers that England have, they could be pretty fearsome. Archer, Wood, Atkinson, all firing together, and Stokes. That's a good bowling attack, and it would put fear into most batting lineups. But how many times are England going to be able to roll out that bowling attack in this Ashes series? That is a big question, and if it's not very often, then suddenly things don't look quite so rosy. A second question on that as well, which is something that Steve Smith has highlighted a couple of times in the ensuing chit chat that's been going on, is whether that's even the right kind of bowling attack for the Aussie pitches. I'm sure it's all mind games, but we have seen recently, haven't we, in some of the Australian home series, the pitches have been a little livelier than we're perhaps used to. Some green tops, some carnage, some difficult conditions to bat in, and perhaps the more nibbly kind of bowlers, your Matt Potts, your Chris Wokes, who unfortunately misses out with his injury and enforced retirement. Maybe they were the ones that would actually be slightly more effective this time around, and that England's all-out pace battery is coming 5 or 10 years late. That's a concern. But I think keeping the England bowlers fit is going to be a big priority. The batting is the batting, right? We know that it's capable at times, and it'll do some extremely good things and some extremely bad things, and that's probably still the case in Australia. Maybe you would expect it to lean slightly more towards extremely bad more often than it would on the flat English decks that we're rolling out these days. But for me, the focus is definitely on the bowling and the fitness.
Yeah, I think I probably kind of agree with most of that. I was having a look at batting averages in different countries in the world. So in the last 5 years, Australia's pretty middle of the pack. Batting averages are around the 28 mark, which, as you were saying, Max, probably wasn't the case a decade ago when England were turning up with 4 right-arm medium bowlers and getting pulverised around on some pretty flat, dead wickets by Steve Smith in his pomp and looking, a little bit like they'd brought a knife to a gunfight, to be honest. I actually think this England bowling attack, if it is fit, is reasonably diverse in terms of what it can do. I don't think, and we'll hear Ross's point of view now, I think, as he actually has rejoined, and I can see him moving around and rustling. I think that there's a skill element to bowlers like Jofra Archer and Gus Atkinson, as well as just a sort of pure height and speed element. Do you agree with that, Ross?
Yeah, I think so. It's going to be, I think, very tricky on both sides. I think even with the Australian bowlers who are kind of ruled out, I think, Max, your point to the fitness element to it, there's huge question marks over all of the pace battery on both sides. Gus Atkinson has been injured in the last 12 months. Jofra Archer obviously just coming back in. Bryden Carson sitting out because he's not very well in the warm-up game. Also was injured with his weird toe. So I think the fitness element is a real key one that Max raises. But I do think the talent is there right? I do think actually Jofra Archer coming into bowl is box office, and it's going to be unbelievable to watch if he can stay fit with Mark Wood as an opening two. I do worry that you could be a little bit one-dimensional. I think it's probably fair to say. Like just having fast right armers is still it's a step up from having just medium pace right armers, but it's still kind of a little bit one-dimensional, and that's where I think Mitchell Stark for Australia is actually quite a big bonus if he's got the rhythm that he needs to play there. That England, don't quite have, as I can't see them. They're not going to be picking Sam Curran and his.
I was going to
40
say, it
mile an
sounds
hour
to me,
slower
Bros,
ball
like you're
holiday,
saying
so-
England are missing Sam Curran in that bowling lineup. That's the key difference.
Yeah, I just think there is an element here of someone like Steve Smith, Labuschagne, whatever. Once they get in, and you just to be like, well, okay, well, you're playing against Gus Atkinson, Jofra Archer, Mark Wood. Who's going to be the other one? Josh Tongue?
Bryden Cast.
Bryden
I
Cast.
think he'll mix it up a little bit, to be honest. So I think Atkinson, if he's fit, will be the one that is probably most likely to play all the games. But even
I'd agree with that.
I think it's unlikely he would play. I would say it was less than 50% that Gus Atkinson will play all 5 tests, and I think he's the most likely to. Cast is a bit of a workhorse as well, so he might be an outside shout, and obviously he can bat. I think I think you have to temper some of this discussion a little bit around the likelihood of England achieving an away Ashes win. I think it is higher than the last time they went, when I think I fully expected sort of 4 or 5-0. And got the 4 or 5-0 that I was expecting. I didn't think it was a surprise at all that England got pummeled there. And I thought actually in the aftermath of that, the reaction to what looked like a pretty inevitable result, to be honest, was kind of outsized. This time round, I think England at least have the weaponry to theoretically compete. I don't think they are too one-dimensional. There's a couple of quite one-dimensional. Mark Wood, for example, is a one-dimensional bowler. Like if he can bowl, if he is bowling above 90 miles an hour, he's extremely threatening. If he isn't, he's going to go for runs because he does spray it around a little bit, and there's not really a second string to his bow. I think there is to Jofra Archer. I think there kind of is to Gus Atkinson as well. I mean, like he is capable of bowling with a lot of accuracy, and
I think that's
boring
actually,
bowlers that batters out that way.
I think that's
and he can bounce
actually
people out.
main skill, right?
It probably is. Yeah.
Gus Atkinson probably got into the England side on the back of the fact that he bowled a 91 mile an hour ball in the 100, and everyone got very excited, and he was bowling extremely quickly that year. But realistically, what Gus Atkinson is good at is bowling it in the same spot over and over again and getting a little bit of nibble off the seam. And you know, well, I remember last time we were down under, and Ollie Robinson was coming over, and he'd taken stacks of wickets and been averaging 21 in the county championship for years, and we're like, why is this guy not been playing for England? We later discovered exactly why, but you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing. But yeah, that was exactly the kind of bowling that we thought would be successful. You know, put it on a spot, get a bit of nibble. It's just Gus Atkinson can do that about 5 miles an hour faster. So,
and he doesn't break down all the time, and he doesn't do rogue podcasts, and he hasn't turned himself into a net bowler for the Australians. Like there are a few, there are a few other reasons.
So, I agree that I don't think they're as one-dimensional as pure pace. I think that is a bit of a. I think
where they are a bit one-dimensional.
You saw it against India. You did see it against India. Like you needed Stokes to come on and bowl 1,000 overs, and we killed Stokes. We killed himself on that front.
Yeah, but
because England were one-dimensional.
No,
but there was an injury.
This is true,
and we had Shoaib
They
Bashir.
didn't have Gus Atkinson till the last test.
Yeah,
They had Jofra Archer for 2 of the 5 tests. They didn't have Mark Wood at all. Bryden Cast, I think he missed a test or 2 tests. Like you know, cricket does all blur into one at a certain point. He had the toe problem, didn't he, where he wanted to cut his toe off. I think the bowling attack that England had this summer probably will, you know, if you consider the 4 spots in a bowling attack, so you've got 20 selections for bowlers. I think it will, you know, I don't think there'll be a lot of replication between the 20 they used in the summer and the 20 they will use in the Ashes.
Well, it ended up being quite one-dimensional in the other direction, didn't it? To be honest, like you had Chris Wokes not being very effective, Josh Tongue spraying it all over the place, but not being very effective, and not having the pace that I suppose they were gearing up for because of injuries.
I think where they might struggle, and we should probably wrap up on bowling because we talked about it for ages now. I think where they might struggle is, or more obviously will struggle, is with Sher Bashir. I think that is, and to be honest, in their warm-up match, he actually played for the Lions, didn't he?
He did,
wasn't even in the official England team.
It's a clue, isn't it?
I don't know if he will start in that in the first test at Perth if all the others are fit.
I'm expecting him not to, and I doubt he'd play in the day-nighter either. It's possible that Australia won't even play Nathan Lyon in that one because they seem to tend to go with pace in the pink balls. So we could easily be seeing no Bashir for the first two tests.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's just on holiday. He's just out for a nice
ICC run rate deductions or over rate deductions, rather, like by both teams getting. I can't wait. Well, after India lost today, they've got to find a way, haven't they, to keep Australia and England down the table. Kind of both of them in contention. So
unfortunately, England don't have the opportunity to ring up the match referee and be like, "Can you not deduct us points for this one? Can you find something, please?"
Cool. That's the bowling. Batting wise, Ross, strengths and weaknesses. Max got to go first on bowlers. Where do England look good? Where do they look bad?
I think England have got the better opening partnership with Ben Duckett and Zach Crawley compared to Australia. Still big question marks over who Khawaja is going to open the batting with. And I think Khawaja is past it. The fairy tale of him coming back and the previous Ashes down under, we
had Khawaja as a dingo.
I think. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'd back you on that front.
I see rather than Wombat.
Ollie Pope, I mean, he loves scoring runs where Ollie Pope loves scoring runs that aren't actually that important to build up to cement his place. So him scoring runs in the it gets hit the runs. So that's perfect timing. Massive
that's his runs for the series.
So and then in the middle of like Root, Brooke, Stokes is fantastic with Jamie Smith. I think Jamie Smith is a better batter than Alex Carey is, so I think England have got an advantage there. Joe Root versus Steve Smith is going to be a battle that everyone's going to be watching very, very keenly. Scott Boland has had Root's number for quite a while, especially in the test matches there, but struggled when he was over here. And Harry Brook is Harry Brook. He's a very mercurial talent. Like he could easily hit 3 centuries in this test series, or he could get fuck all runs and just be a bit silly. And then everything again could fall onto Ben Stokes and see kind of what happens there. I actually think England from a batting perspective are actually relatively strong than what they've been. If Zach Crawley, after all of the test matches that he's been given to be good in this test series, actually delivers on the run front. And I'm going to buy into it. I'm going to say that Zach Crawley is going to be pretty good on this tour. And if England have any chance of winning this, he and Ben Duckett need to fill their absolute boots with runs. So
I'm actually with
England looking good.
Yeah, I quite like England's batting.
On paper, it can do the job. There's always the question, though, isn't there, of England turn up in Australia and it all goes wrong.
You do have to accept that with how England play and the personnel they've selected, that they are going to be quite boom and bust. I don't think this is, if you're thinking about this from a kind of standard deviation perspective and doing some maths on it, like England are all over the place in terms of potential outcomes. Anything could happen in any given game, and we kind of saw that a little bit over the summer as well, didn't we? With some big chases, and then some big chases where then suddenly they lose 7 for 30, a couple of batting collapses in one test with a 300-run partnership thrown in the middle of the batting collapses. Like It's not most of their
Good
players.
viewing.
was
It's
made-
a good spectacle.
yeah, with maybe the exception of what Root and potentially Stokes if he's feeling sensible. And I suppose you'd throw Pope in there as well, but maybe not quite as high a caliber player. Most of the rest of them are going to play their shots, and sometimes that's going to lead to insane centuries in 85 balls, and sometimes that's going to be like what happened in the warm-up match. Harry Brook running down the wicket and getting his off stump knocked out the ground, playing the most bizarre shot of all time, second or third ball or whatever it was. But people will say that's a terrible way to prepare for a test series, and it visually
It might be
awful.
right.
but that is how Harry Brook is going to play in the test series. Like whether you like it or not, whether it makes you angry or not, the concept of an England batter running down the pitch to Mitchell Stark when England are 30 for 3 on the first day of the Ashes and potentially having their off stump knocked out the ground, whether you like it or not, it's going to happen, and you just kind of have to live with that, because sometimes, and we have to say it at
Let
this point,
Stockholm syndrome take over.
Well, sometimes it
Love
does
it.
work. Like, is there a legitimate reason to suggest to Harry Brook that he needs to completely change his game? Not really. I mean, the guy.
He's very good away from home. Very good. I mean, if the pitches are anything like they were in Pakistan, fucking go on, Harry.
He's very good, sort of, period. He's played 30 tests. He's got 10 tons. He averages 57 and a half. Strike rate of 90. He's getting a ton every 5 innings.
Yeah, I think he's absolutely essential to England winning the Ashes. Like I think the key bit is if Crawley and if the top 3 can get England to 200, 250, if they could do that consistently across this Test series, England win.
Not asking for much then.
But that's what it takes, right? When England last won, Alistair Cook and Jonathan Trott and whoever else, they got us to that position. That was the key for it. That you could get to that part where you're near around 200 runs and you've got 3 wickets down. You're just like, okay, right, we've got the platform. The bowlers have got some overs in their legs. Then the Kevin Petersons of the world, which is the Harry Brook equivalent, takes advantage, right? So
I don't think that's.
I also think Gus Atkinson at 8 is pretty bloody. Is a pretty bloody good 8 as well, by the way.
We might be 9, to be fair, because Castle will bat above him. So yeah, there's a lot of batting. I think that's a fair point to make. But I don't think like overs in the legs is how England are going to play this series. Like, I would be surprised if England batted a full day more than once in the entire Test series. I think they will be.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually. Do you know what? Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I agree with your sort of general point that if England do put on 300 plus regularly, which I also think they could do, then they will be competitive. But like, they could also be all out for under 200 4 or 5 times. Max, what are your thoughts on the batting? We've dominated the conversation. You're nodding away there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with most of it. I think it is almost coin flippy, isn't it? Like I said, on paper, they have the tools and the skill set to be good. And I think, again, like when you're looking at, you were saying about what you expected last time England went to Australia, and you fully expected England to get absolutely battered. And you look at the names that they were putting out in that series, and you're like, I was watching some of the highlights of like Stark taking a pile of wickets and over the other day. It was like, if you look at Rory Burns and was it David Milan at 3, and it's just like, what is going on? What is this battle?
Don't worry, let's drive Sam Billings in from the other side.
Sam Billings comes in and plays. Yeah, it's a far cry from that. It's so much more settled than it's been, But the only question being Pope and Bethel, and I think at the moment that's still pretty settled, especially after Pope did pretty well in the warm up. So England, it can go into it. I suppose no one's fearing for their position. Even Zach Crawley, with his interesting record as a Test opening batter, wouldn't be fearing for his position. I mean, because no one's ever spoken about anyone that would come in and replace Zach Crawley. And I think when you've got that confidence and got that backing to go out and play shots, it will make a difference, won't it? In unfamiliar circumstances. So I think there's enough for them to win at least a game. But the consistency is
Going to win 3. England are
you
going to
read
win
3.
3.
You recken? Is that including the 2 that they've already won, or the starting at 0-0?
To be fair, we're not into the predictions bit yet, but the first test it's just unbelievably important. People can say it's a 5-game series and all that kind of stuff, right? But the first day even of this whole entire, the first ball, for fuck's sake, Rory Burns. If Zach Crawley hits that ball for 4, opening the batting up, I'm just like, we're game on.
Get those bets on. Yeah, no, I'm comfortable with England's batting.
Right, look,
we should say in a long time.
We should say that there will be an Ashes prediction show. We're going to record that after we've recorded this, so and store it and hope that nobody gets injured. But they definitely will, because every time we do this, someone gets injured and the whole prediction show's ruined.
Yeah, or we'll predict an injury and think we're really clever, but then by the time it goes out, everyone will be wondering why we're so happy with ourselves.
Yeah, and it will be our patented draft format between the snake draft format with predictions for most runs, most wickets, player of the series, scoreline, biggest flop, hero, and villain. Thrown in a couple of extra categories to pad it out to a longer show. So do make sure you click like and subscribe. But before we move on to Fear Factor from an England perspective, I want to know from the two of you what you think a successful tour realistically looks like from an England point of view. Ross, you go first.
They don't have a mid-series retirement. I think that'd be a nice one. They managed to win a game. I think that would be the bare minimum. It has to be that this is competitive. I think if you look at the Ashes series in England, where it was 2-2 in the end, and that they want to be going, well, actually, we should have won that. England should have won the Test series in England. They made a couple of silly mistakes. There was a very poor declaration in one of the games. They missed a couple of opportunities. So I think what good looks like for them is to eliminate some of the stupidity. And that's not to say you still can't be super positive. I still think you can be really positive with declarations. There's just a little bit of believing your own hype, right? Drinking your own champagne or some of those things, that Australia are going to be more conservative in the way in which they play. And England need to be quite smart around how they get around doing those things while still being kind of the baseball nature. And I think you've seen that evolution over the course of the last few kind of Test series. So I think England sticking to their guns, I think, is important. And that will be very, very much what's the word? Seen as a win. They don't go into their shells. They don't pick up injuries, and they manage to rotate the bowlers in a way that doesn't limit the team's ability. And then, nothing too embarrassing that can just be shared over everything, right? So a mid-series retirement, or kind of having to get Ollie Robinson into the 11 because you lose all your bowlers because you bowl Jofra Archer into the ground.
I want to see it so badly.
What's success look like for England?
I think for me, it's a series in which England can come out of it claiming some sort of victory, whether that's the actual victory or the moral victory. That's to be seen, but I think they will find and never underestimate the power of the England Brains Trust in finding a way of doing that. So I think they've got a pretty good opportunity, a pretty good chance of doing it. But I think it'll be a case of when we've finished, when all the dust has settled, can we put a positive spin on it? And if they can, then I think it's been a successful tour.
Okay, yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I expect that what I think has been found out about baseball a little bit is that if you play conservative cricket against it for long enough, eventually you can win.
England
eventually,
get bored.
Eventually England get kind of bored and they'll do something stupid. I mean, India did it. The series was great over the summer, but a lot of the days played individually were quite boring because India had a tactic that they committed to and kind of worked, which was to
it was the right tactic for them.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, like, you can't complain 2 all away series for India with.
Yeah, you do have to remember that Gautam Gambhir is a genius.
Only a guy like him could lose. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, you saw it when they changed their whole fielding setup, right? Australia, when they're over here, be like, okay, you're going to be really attacking. We're going to put some people on the boundary straight away. England still found a way to score the runs, but that helped Australia. They have gone out with this of going a slightly different conservatism, I suppose, on their cricket in response to that part. And England sometimes think, well, how dare other teams change the way they play for us? That's not cricket, but this is why there should be a good ding dong.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think had this series happened 2 years ago when England, or 3 years ago maybe, when England first started doing this, I think the shock and awe of it might have led to some sort of crazy scoreline. I think because Australia know what's going to happen and will commit to playing a conservative game plan, I think over the 5 matches, Australia should win. But England, just through raw firepower, will probably bag a test. Maybe even bag 2 tests. I think a successful tour is winning 2 tests for England. Minimum is 1. I think they're a pretty good team, and they should.
Yeah,
they should be able to challenge in some games. Yeah, they could. Like 5-0 is. I still think this though. I still think this
5-0 is an option.
I don't want to ruin the prediction show because that's obviously going to come up. But I think I don't want to do a Luke Fletcher and hide all my predictions either. That's one for the
one for the real fans. That
it's one for the real fans. I think 5-0 is more likely than England winning the series. 5-0 to Australia. So there's that. Look, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to play England Fear Factor, which should be a lot of fun.